In your work to make a masterpiece of your life, take care to stop and celebrate with others their work to make a masterpiece of their own. They will be grateful for it, as will you. The Anonymous Craftsman. To turn a vision of oneself into a tangible result requires commitment, skills, and the right tools for the job. This is making a masterpiece of your life. The 5 elements. Element 4, the human being. The 4th element, the primary material of life as a craft, is the human being. As wood is to the carpenter or clay to the potter, so is the human being to the practice of life as a craft. A natural, uneven material, the human being requires very special handling. It is both fragile and resistant under the right conditions. Human beings sprout and grow from the gardens we call family. For this reason, we place study and knowledge of the family heritage and family management, as well as family and personal finance, as elements for study in advance of the study of the human being, the fruit of the family tree. The ultimate goal of practicing life as a craft is to make a masterpiece of your life and to teach our children to make a masterpiece of their own. Subjects for study in this element include your outer being, birth, sexuality, death, self-preservation, diet and nutrition, exercise, health examinations, grooming and personal appearance, personal hygiene, etiquette and manners. Your inner being, beliefs, emotions, spirit, values, personal goals, self-expression, education and knowledge, career and livelihood, relationships and companions, and recreation. Your life is unique and in the primary care of a single craftsperson. You are that craftsperson. Your life is a work in progress. It is always changing and evolving. Sometimes the progress is rapid and distinct, and at other times it is slow and imperceptible to you, while to others the changes may be dramatic. To shape your life into a masterpiece requires skill and the careful application of the tools of the craft of life. To become a master craftsperson is gained only through experience. You must act. This is the practice of life craft. During your apprenticeship, you will apply yourself to the study and understanding of life as a craft. You must learn the characteristics of the human being, the raw materials of the craft of life, just as the potter studies clay or the physician human anatomy. Like other natural substances, the human being is organic. It is not a perfect, uniform substance like gleaming sheet metal. Each one is therefore as unique as the trees of a forest. Like trees, human beings are very strong yet very fragile beings. Therein lies the beauty and the wonder. They must be handled with great care or they will break. You must also dedicate yourself to perfecting the skills necessary to use the tools of the craftsperson. Tools are very powerful instruments when used in the hands of a trained journeyman or journeywoman. They can produce superior results. But if used carelessly or by the untrained, they can cause great and irreparable damage to the human being. The principles of practicing life as a craft are as well defined as any other endeavor to which human beings apply themselves. In Element 4 of Life as a Craft, you are being introduced to the principles surrounding the care and development of the human being, and resources such as teachers who have spent their lives studying this unique material. Making a masterpiece of your life concerns itself with gaining the knowledge and skills progressively over your lifetime, allowing you to manage the overall balance of your inner self and outer self in a state of good health or wellness, a state of physical, mental, and social well-being, and not just the absence of disease or sickness. Your outer being, the tangible or physical. The outer human being or physical body is comprised of groups of organ systems that work together to make a complete, functional human being, the primary material you will work with in your practice of life as a craft. Breaking the outer human being down into a series of systems will help you more easily understand each system and its parts, their relationship to one another, and together as a whole human body. The circulatory system. The circulatory system is the body-wide network of blood vessels, and lymph. Powered by the heart, it is the body's distribution system to the organs carrying oxygen, hormones, and essential nutrients that helps it function properly. The respiratory system. Every tissue within the body requires oxygen to function. The respiratory system includes air passages, pulmonary vessels, the lungs and breathing muscles, providing oxygenated blood to the body tissues and the removal of waste gases. The digestive system. It enables your body to convert food into usable nutrients through a chemical breakdown process. This occurs through a system of tube-like organs, including the esophagus, the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, and intestines. Your inner being, the intangible or mental. Your inner human being is also comprised of an interconnected system of intangible or invisible functions, making them more difficult to separate one from another. Some of these functions include consciousness. Consciousness is an aspect of the mind generally thought to comprise qualities such as the ability to perceive the relationship between oneself and the world around you. Imagination. Imagination is the activity of generating or evoking novel situations, images, and ideas in the workshop of your mind. Among the many practical functions of imagination are the ability to project possible futures, to see things from another's perspective, and to change the way something is perceived. Memory. Memory is the ability to preserve, retain, and subsequently recall knowledge, information, or experience. It is the central storage facility for the mind and can be trained to retain and retrieve an extraordinary quantity of thoughts. Thought. Thought is a mental act that allows humans to make sense of things in the world and to represent and interpret them in ways that are significant. Wellness of your inner being is defined as a state of well-being in which every individual realizes his or her potential, can cope with the normal stresses of life, work productively and fruitfully, and is able to make a contribution to one's family and community. Conflicts between the inner and the outer human being. Problems begin when the inner self or outer self are in conflict or out of balance. In its simplest terms, a conflict between the inner and the outer self refers to a mismatch. You think one thing, but do another. The greater the conflict, the wider the difference between what the inner self believes is right and what the outer self does. This conflict ultimately causes stress that can be damaging to the mind, body, and your emotional state. Often, this conflict arises due to spending too little time considering your inner self. How much of the time are you running on empty, just struggling to get through the demands of the day without considering whether your actions and behaviors are in line and imbalance with your inner self. The conflict between the two selves can result in stress, which makes you more vulnerable to illness. Your daily functioning may also be affected. You may feel successful on the outside, but empty on the inside. Balancing the inner and the outer self. Craftsmanship is concerned first and foremost with balance and perfection. Balance is defined as a condition in which different elements are in the correct proportions and placement to function as intended, that is, perfectly. A craftsman's masterwork or masterpiece, which is submitted to a jury of his peers known as a guild, will be judged among other things on its balance as a characteristic of its intended functionality. In other words, if a craftsman's masterpiece, his finest work, does not perform well according to its intended function, it will likely be found upon examination to be out of balance and likely fail acceptance as a masterpiece for admittance to the guild as a master craftsman. The work will have to be redone. And so it is with your life as a masterpiece in the making. Should you find it does not perform or perform well as you intended, you will likely find, and probably with the help of skilled mentors as in any craft, there exists an imbalance between the inner and the outer human being. Once located, you can set about the task in a craftsman-like manner of bringing your work back into alignment. The 5 elements of life as a craft were developed for exactly this purpose. By understanding the elements that go into making the inner and outer human being, the craftsperson of life can refer to the workshop manual or handbook to identify which subject in which element to focus on and bring the inner and outer human being back into a state of well-being or balance. Without the 5 elements to guide the craftsperson in their work of the craft of life, one is left to figuring it out as you go, flying by the seat of your pants and acting intuitively by trial and error. This often results in over-concentration in one element or subject and applying too much pressure on one area or another of the inner self or outer self, interfering with the balance and function of your work product, that is, your life. Standing on the shoulders of giants. The way of craftsmanship teaches to stand on the shoulders of giants by learning from master craftsmen which specialize in these sub-crafts contained within the 5 elements. To get started using the handbook containing the 5 elements, begin with this simple exercise. Look at each of the 5 elements of life as a craft and name the subjects within each element you already know something about. You'll be surprised how many you have some knowledge of. Next, ask the question, are any of these subjects causing an imbalance between my inner and outer self? Perhaps I don't know enough about a particular subject, and that is making me feel unprepared. Or I'm not performing that subject well, and my skills need improving. Or I'm spending all my time on one subtopic or another, and I feel consumed by it, throwing me out of balance. Now repeat the same exercise with subjects in each of the 5 elements you know nothing about. While we have included many subjects in the Craftsman's Handbook, Making a Masterpiece of Your Life, and its companion Facebook pages, perhaps you will have to search the internet related to the element itself, such as family management or the human being inner self, to identify topics and content associated with that main element that others have already developed and which you can look into. Through this exercise of discovery, what might reveal itself to you is one or more topics, known or unknown until now, in one of the 5 elements of life as a craft, that make you raise your eyebrows, and lean forward in your chair and begin to incorporate into making a masterpiece of your life. The human being is element 4 of 5 in the practice of life as a craft. Your objective over the 4 phases of your life is to select subjects for study and practice within each of the 5 elements and achieve incremental excellence to improve the quality of your craftsmanship and make a masterpiece of your life. This is Charles Collins, inviting you to join us for the next episode of Making a Masterpiece of Your Life. Making a Masterpiece of Your Life is made possible by a grant from the Griffin House Trust.